The Trump administration's sweeping immigration crackdown is in the spotlight as a federal government shutdown looms. There is a bitter standoff in the U.S. Senate, but it has edged closer to a vote. Democrats have said they're prepared to pass 5 of the 6 spending bills immediately, but have drawn a red line on funding for the Department of Homeland Security. A partial government shutdown would be the second since Trump returned to office, and it would come just months ahead of the midterm elections. Joining me on the set is our international affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert. Hello to you, Doug. Where do things stand right now?
The big headline is that a long type of government shutdown, that is where the government just runs out of money at a Friday midnight deadline in the U.S. tonight, that looks like it's been averted for now. What may not have been averted, probably has not been averted, is a very short technical shutdown, which could last until Monday because the lower chamber of Congress, the House, will have to give the green light to this final deal when and if it's voted in the Senate later today. Now, that said, when you say where do things stand, in a broad sense, it's exactly what you just said. It's the issue of giving funding as part of the government spending package to the Department of Homeland Security, which obviously encompasses ICE, the Border Patrol, the customs agents, the federal agents that we have seen engaging in, on video footage, brutal, aggressive tactics against not just immigrants, but U.S. citizens, on the streets of Minneapolis and other American cities, has really given rise to a welter, an outcry, if you will, on Capitol Hill, that is in Congress, especially from Democrats, just saying absolutely not. We will not give any funding to the Department of Homeland Security unless there are reforms mandated. So what is happening as a result of a deal that has been struck between Donald Trump and his Republican Party and Democrats in the Congress is that they will split off the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security funding. They'll just split it off, cleave it away from 5 other parts of government, which will be funded in this vote. What happens to the DHS funding, the ICE funding? That will be subject. It will be temporarily funded. I have to say temporarily over the next 2 weeks. The Republicans actually wanted a longer timeline, but the deal right now calls for 2 weeks. 2 weeks while the Democrats and the Republicans and Trump's administration hammer out ways to rein in, that's the word to use, Will, to rein in the federal agents and the aggressive tactics they have been employing to enforce Donald Trump's immigration agenda and his deportation policies. So that is really where things stand. But like I said, the Senate is poised to vote. They need unanimous consent in the Senate, poised to vote later today. And after that, and here's the glitch, the House, the lower chamber, which also has to give its green light, it's out right now on recess. It doesn't return till Monday, early next week. So that means when the government funding lapses at midnight tonight, there could be a 24-hour lapse when the government is technically out of money. So there will be a tiny shutdown probably.
Yeah, and when you talk about these democratic reforms, would they really rein in these federal agents we're seeing on the ground? Would they rein them in?
Yeah, I hate saying it remains to be seen, but it remains to be seen. Right now, the reasons the Democrats are holding out is because they are very skeptical that the measures they're proposing will be not just implemented, but enforced. And what are those measures? They're calling for an end to all the things that have really outraged so many Americans, the polls are showing, when they see these videos, they see these aggressive, violent tactics, and they see the administration, let's be blunt about it, essentially in their initial versions of the latest shooting of the ICU nurse in Minneapolis last weekend. Lies about what actually happened, branding him a domestic terrorist, saying that he was intent on massacring these agents when the video footage suggests absolutely the opposite picture. So they want an end to these roving patrols, the ICE agents, the border police roving up and down the streets, literally on the search for anyone who might draw suspicion. And as some of the videos have suggested, it takes nothing else but to be a little off color, meaning not fully white, brown skin, having an accent. Anything could be a pretext so far, often to just be snatched off the street and rounded up. They want an end to the federal agents would need warrants, judicial warrants to conduct searches and raids of people's houses. That has not always been the case from what we know so far. They would have to coordinate, and this is very important for the Democrats demanding these reforms, coordinate with state and local law enforcement officials, and in basically have investigations when there is some conduct, that is out of line, because there's going to be, they want to see a new uniform code of conduct for these federal agents, that they cannot just act according to their own will or the will of the Trump administration in carrying out their mission. So independent investigations to ensure that that code of conduct is adhered to. And finally, the big issue, wear those body cameras, take off the masks, and bear some visible insignia, some visible identification, so that these are not nameless, unaccountable agents basically perpetrating violent crimes against ordinary American citizens.